I'm not gonna shoot you. Don't reach for
The officer and Sterling continued to argue as Sterling has his hands up. The officer then remarks that Sterling is urinating himself, before you then see Sterling take a step forward. That's when a struggle begins. Investigators say the officer's body camera was knocked off. The dash cam continues to capture the fight. It lasts about 30 seconds, and then shots are fired. We froze the video as Sterling is shot.
Stop it!
You can hear at least 6 shots fired from the officer's gun. Newport Beach police say during the struggle, Sterling allegedly removed the officer's.
Friendly advice. If you're out there, if you're going to mouth off to the cops and then try to take their weapons, you will probably wind up being shot. That's the Newport Beach Police Department in car and body camera footage where the man was shot. I guess he was related to some sort of movie star, TV star, or something or other. But that was really irrelevant to the case. Again, if you're not following officers' commands, and then you're trying to take their weapons on top of it, you will probably wind up like this guy looking at the roots of the grass, as we say. California gas prices jump above $6, headed to $9 if we don't get our S together. This is the only thing I could find this short, I don't know, less than a minute ABC7 report. Here we go.
Could soon be paying more for gas in California.
Yeah, a University of Southern California professor says that could be the case if 2 refineries close in our state. Phillips 66 refinery in Wilmington could close by the end of the year, which would push gas prices to above $6. And then if the Valero refinery in the Bay Area closes by the end of the next year, that could send prices soaring to $9 a gallon.
A reduction in supply, relatively stable demand, and more layering on of legislative costs. Price is going to go up.
To compensate for the closures, California would have to import gas from either the Gulf, China, South Korea, or Malaysia. Doing so would only add to the costs. In response to the expected closures, Governor Newsom has directed the state to intensify.
Now that idiot. We need this clown, Newsom, on the case. Holy crap. We're going to wind up importing freaking gas from China. There was a prediction by Mishke, the USC study, that told Newsom, oh, you're full of crap. We'll get more into this later. You're seeing, it drives me absolutely freaking insane. Donald J. Trump doing the impossible. Everybody said, no way you're going to get a trade deal with England, Britain, the UK. Like they said, he won't get a deal with China or anybody else. Guess what happened today? The great Donald J. signed a trade deal with Britain.
This morning, I'm thrilled to announce that we have reached a breakthrough trade deal with the United Kingdom. Incredible country. Today is a victory day for World War II. We won the war together exactly 80 years ago, so there could be no more perfect morning to reach this historic agreement, and it's beautiful weather out, I will tell you that, Keir.
Got to throw the beautiful in there as only Donald J. can. Did the impossible. UK trade deal, everybody said couldn't happen. We'll get into this in a little bit, but I want to run the clip. Moreno Valley current Councilman, District 3, Erlen Gonzalez, was a planning commissioner, admits to meeting in the garage of Marcelo Coe. Why this is significant? Marcelo Coe was a councilman in 2000, from 2010 to 13. Until he got convicted of the largest bribe in U.S. political history He took $2.36 million in a sting operation that was set up to change zoning in this. Erlen Gonzalez admits to a meeting with Coe in his garage. But he didn't get appointed. I wonder why. Oh, this stuff gets intriguing more as we go, but here's that little clip.
This is a decade ago or more. Applied, and I will never forget one of the first things I went to meet. Council member Marcelo Coe. If you guys remember that, I went to meet with him in his garage, and he interviewed me. He interviewed me for the Planning Commission. So,
why? Oh, we'll get into this deeper as it goes. We'll get into Erlen Gonzalez comments on top of that for the continuing deal of his association puppy dog dragging of our maybe mentally challenged Mayor Ulysses Cabrera and their head benefactor, campaign contributor, controlling the real strings, Assemblyman Corey Jackson. Last thing, white smoke came out of wherever they're in Pope land. Cardinal Robert Prevost was the first American elected, although he gave up his American citizenship and moved to Peru. Don't follow that sort of stuff that much, but I know a lot of people think it's a big deal. So he was born an American, as you see. There's one of his elementary school classmates said he was going to be Pope, and darn near, that's a lottery odds prediction that you would make probably 70 years ago, 60 years ago. A kid you knew in elementary school, yeah, you're going to be Pope, and he actually becomes Pope. What a deal. More on the rest of the show, but here we go. There's that funky Soleil guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday. Live at 5:30 or 5. Well, we'll be live on KMET at 5:30. Live just before 5. Neville at B Network, Rumble, X, YouTube. Check us all out on all that good stuff. And again, everybody, you can boo-hoo-hoo or whatever. But, if you don't obey an officer's commands and then you try to take their weapons, maybe I'm hard-hearted. I have no sympathy for you. If you're gonna pull that off, or if you're that drunk, you're peeing yourself while you're there and riding on the road late at night, we can all come to conclusions, and I'm sure there'll be a autopsy report or whatever coming out on the gentleman who was shot. Again, I guess he's a brother of some big TV or movie star or something. Actor. Don't follow that stuff much. Like the religious thing or the Pope, but hey, everybody's got their thing. But as we say in San Jose, that's the way it goes. We did Ulysses Cabrera, the mayor, meltdown Tuesday at the council meeting. Then Erlen Gonzalez, his puppy dog companion, controlled by Corey Jackson. We'll roll with more of the Erlen tapes today. Donald J. Trump never ceases to amaze at least from my perspective, the talent level of this guy. Everybody said, oh, you'll never, ever, ever, ever get a trade deal with the United Kingdom, Britain. They're too powerful. They're smarter than you. You don't know the art of the deal. You're just a chump changer. Oh, whatever, Prime Minister Yuckhead was in today, signing the deal. You know, if you put the whole European Union together, it comes pretty close. It actually would be in second place ahead of China in GDP growth or gross domestic product, or how much, trillions of dollars are spent in their economy each year. When they break it down to France and England and Germany or whatever, you need 27. That's why when you hear Newsom like, oh, we're the fourth largest shut up. We'll get it. I don't know if we'll get it today. Maybe we'll scratch on some of that tomorrow. And the impending budget doom in the state of California. But as we said, it's not looking good on all the nattering nabobs of negativism and all the brickbats that's been thrown at Trump. And oh, he's incompetent. And oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. So I want to finish up what we didn't hear on the intro. This is that was about 30 seconds or so. We'll finish up from the great Donald J. Trump signing the trade agreement with the British Prime Minister. Here we go.
Beautiful weather. It's so perfect outside. But it's really, in particular, the agreement with one of our closest and most cherished allies. And we're so happy that that's the way it worked out. I want to thank Prime Minister Starmer and his very talented team for their outstanding work and partnership. Today's agreement with the UK is the first in a series of agreements on trade that my administration has been negotiating over the past 4 weeks. With this deal, the UK joins the United States in affirming that reciprocity and fairness is an essential and vital principle of international trade.
So we're not going to be hosed with Britain as we were the past 30 years with all the goofy trade agreements, WTO, GATT, NAFTA. We have this guy, Donald J. Trump, to thank for that. And again, trade tariffs in these trade negotiations take a bit. It's amazing he's got the ones done him and the team have in the last 4 weeks. It took 30 years to wrap us into this stuff. You're not going to unwind it in 3 days. So look for more trade agreements, more fair trade agreements coming through the pike. Peter Navarro, maybe we'll get to that tomorrow too. Peter Navarro is kind of his head man on trade, head liaison, put out a video today explaining some of this and some of the other negotiations that are going on in that genre of that. Want to get back to this, as they say. We first heard the Mike Mischke report out of USC that came out about 2 or 3 weeks ago. A few years ago, or about a year ago, Newsom went to the legislature. Oh, we got to open up these hearings and investigation into the oil companies and the oil refiners are gouging Californians, and that's why we're paying the highest gas prices in the nation. Blah, da, 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 da. Lying through his teeth again. So It's been about a year and a half since all the caterwauling and the investigation in this. And then you just heard silencio from Gulag Gavin Newsom and Rivas in the legislature and all those clucks up there. Mind you, and I will say, at least to the evidence I have at this point, I was the only one in the last couple of years till very recently that was telling you. And we did the whiteboards and used the evidence that we had from the state of California, energy commissions and whatever, to show you where the main thing on the gas refinery, we were paying twice as much out of the same refineries up in Martinez or down in Torrance. They were shipping gas to Arizona, Nevada, Utah, and the refiners were charging 75 cents a gallon. Californians were being charged $1.50. That was all due to AB 32 and the climate change and the carbon buyback credits and cons. And in recent commercials, the refiners have put out have basically said the same thing, and Nishki pretty much said the same thing too. The refiners, oil drillers, guy driving the tanker from the tank farm, or the refiners, we used to call them, well, from the refiner to the tank farm, like you'll see on North Main up there by Colton, just before you get to the 10 freeway. To the tank farm, to the guy at the convenience store or gas station or Win-Win, like's up on the corner here, and you're pumping in the gas. Those guys are not price gouging. They're making a fair profit to keep it in business so they can deliver the gas to you. State of California is damn near getting half of the price of a gallon of gas. If they're not getting half. Depends, and it's, as the price jumps up and down a little bit, but they're roughly getting half for doing nothing. The guys that, again, that supplied this, the wildcatters that drilled it out of the ground, sent it to the pipeline, sent it to the refinery. They refined it to gas, and it moved either through pipeline or truck to the tank farm and or to the final delivery station and all that. To the dude when you roll your car up or give him your cash for $50 for 3 gallons of gas, which is going to be, look at the price. Nishki came out and said it's going to be, if the existing 3 to 4 refineries that are slated to close in the next year and a half close, he's predicting gas right now, the average is $4.80, let's say $5 a gallon. It's going to be $6.50 by the end of the year. By the end of next year, it's going to increase another $2 to $8.43. And that's if no other market forces come in. And as you heard on the report from ABC7, and that's it, a less than a minute report is all I've heard on this Nishki report. I mean, I was looking all over the place. At least that's the only one I could find in the Mockingbird media genre. And what was stunning in that was, Nishki says, if we keep on this course, we're going to be importing gasoline from China? It would be almost inconceivable to perceive, except this is California. It's so unbelievable and so short. I want to run the clip again. Less than a minute, I think 59 seconds. Gas going from $5 to almost $9 a gallon, less than 5, as the young lady said, $9 a gallon in a year and a half. If there was a reason, and I'm not advocating violence, but if there was a reason to riot in the streets, I would think this would be it. The ho-hum attitude everybody has about it is kind of amazing to me, but it is the society we live in today. Here, let's rerun a little bit of that clip.
But we could soon be paying more for gas in California.
Yeah, a University of Southern California professor says that could be the case if 2 refineries close in our state. Phillips 66 refinery in Wilmington could close by the end of the year, which would push gas prices to above $6. And then if the Valero refinery in the Bay Area closes by the end of the next year, that could send prices soaring to $9 a gallon.
$9 a gallon, as the reporterette said. Why that's significant is there's also 2 more refineries on top of that they're saying will probably close. It's almost fait accompli. The 66 one down here and the Valero one up in Martinez are done. They're out. I mean, if Newsom was doing his job, and if his burner phones that he was handing out to the executives, I wonder how many got handed out to the oil refiners or Chevron or anybody like that. If he was truly doing his job as governor, he would be saying, whoa, we're not closed. What do we got to do to keep these things open? We're dropping the regulations, scrap AB 32, scrap the stupidity. In fact, how can we encourage you to build more oil refineries? Of course, get rid of the gas car ban and all this stuff. What did he think was going to... I don't know. Let's get to Mishke's report on this. Again, here we go.
Reduction in supply, relatively stable demand, and more layering on of legislative costs. Price is going to go up.
So when he says, that's very simple. Supply and demand is going to be the same or even increasing. We're going to have a shrinkage of product. In fact, if Newsom has his way in the California legislature, we won't have any oil wells in California. We'll cap the existing ones we got, and we only produce 25% of the oil we use every day. We're already importing from somewhere. Mexico, Canada, other states, Texas, the raw product. That is totally unnecessary. You want to see a boom in the California economy? Just eliminate the stupid ban on oil and gas exploration. First thing, you would probably see Phillips 66 and Valero say, well, wait a minute, if this is the case, maybe we will keep these plants open now that we will have some oil to come in. And, if we can get rid of AB 32 and these stupid, ridiculous taxes, and that's what they are. They're not fees, they're taxes. Yeah, we'll stay, we're into making money. And that one up there in Benicia, by Martinez or up in the Bay. So that's the newest refinery in California, and that was built in 2000. It's 25 years old. The other 10 that are operating right now are older than 25 years. As demand for oil has accelerated exponentially, we have not added any oil refining capacity. We could, if we unleashed oil and gas exploration, in California. We have enough oil under the ground to supply 100% of our needs. We wouldn't need to import any raw oil at all, even at the current or any anticipated rate in the future. If Newsom was really sincere about working for Californians, he would be calling Trump right now saying, hey, I'm on board with drill, baby, drill. We're dumping all these stupid regulations. How can we work together not only to make California great again? I want to don the MAGA hat. And we're going to get this stuff done. But it doesn't take a professor like Mike Mischke of USC to figure this stuff out. He laid it out, in less than 10 seconds. Supply and demand. You got a big demand, you keep cutting the supply, the prices are going to skyrocket. It's just economics 101. You should have learned this in the 3rd grade. They probably don't even teach this in college anymore. Wonder why we got problems.
Price is going to go up.
To compensate for the closures, California would have to import gas from either the Gulf, China, South Korea, or Malaysia. Doing so would only add to the costs. In response to the expected closures, Governor Newsom has directed the state to intensify collaboration with refineries.
Now, the polling numbers on Newsom are going nuts. For 8 years as governor and 12 years before that as lieutenant governor and mayor of San Francisco, here's how we're going to die of diesel smoke and all this stuff. Electrification, and I'm going to solve homelessness and mental illness and everything else. Latest UC Berkeley poll coming out has them at 46 approve, 46 disapprove. Better than the other one that had him at 34%. But again, the second poll coming out, he's below 50%. The only other time in his political career he was below 50% on a favorability rating was back in the French Laundry in 21, about the time the recall got on and all that fiasco. That was the last time, and just for a very month or 2 or so or 3, he was, maybe 4, he was down below 50% approval rating. This is the second poll coming out on Newsom, said he's below 50%. And he's dead even. As many people, 46, and you can probably add that other 8% onto the disapproval rating. He's probably majority upside down. So when you look at all this, that's why you see Newsom trying to do all this backing up. And retooling on all this stuff, because he's the one, he's been the main cog pushing all these policies. Yet, he doesn't want to take responsibility for this. Mind you, gas is almost going to double in a year and a half in California if we don't do something right now. Like I said, if we pulled all the regs off of oil and gas exploration, said, hey, Valero, hey, Phillips 66, those of you left, we're not going to be fining you every day for this, that, and the other. In fact, we're going to put tax incentives for people to build new refineries in the state of California, new oil and gas refineries here. Or I should say, gas and diesel refineries here. Voila. You imagine if let's just say we were paying the national average for gas right now, you would be paying $3 a gallon. You know, say the average dude is probably burning 30, 40 bucks a week, 30, 40 gallons a week. That's 60, 80 bucks a gallon, $60, $80 a week, every week coming out of your wallet, going to insane politicians, screwing you over, and public employees getting gold-plated salaries on top of platinum benefits. So how do you think they're funding this stuff? Well, their latest plan is to jack gas up to $9 a gallon by the end of 2026. I don't know what it takes to get people in the game, but if that doesn't do it, I really don't know what the hell it does. I really don't. I don't know what it would take to get people off the snide, but I guess we're aiming to find out. Either we do, or we'll be paying $9 a gallon. Cowfart Lara, Ricardo Lara, our insurance commissioner, he was in the Assembly or Senate, he was in our state legislature. Why we called him Cowfart Lara was he was, and Brown was governor at the time, so it started it. And he said, you know, all the dairy cows and meat cows in California, they're global warming. You know, the farts they do, methane gas, and we're all going to die. So they come up with the deal. They were going to shove tubes up the rear ends of cows and collect the methane gas. I kid you not. This is what we had become to. I mean, it's absolutely insane. ABC 7 Bay Area report. The reporter up there's been on top of Lara, who spent tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars gallivanting on our dime all across the country. Won't answer questions about he's the insurance commissioner now, won't answer questions about why insurance is skyrocketing, why the fiasco down in the Palisades and Altadena and everywhere in California where you can hardly get homeowners insurance. And if you can, it's 2, 3, 5, 10 times higher than it was 2 or 3 years ago. It's absolutely incredible. Here's the ABC 7 Bay Area report. Here we go. We thought. Let's see if we can make him play.
Questions are being raised tonight about transparency surrounding California's top insurance boss. A 7-on-your-side investigation involving Ricardo Lara's taxpayer-funded travel around the world during key insurance hearings is still trying to get answers.
A significant chunk of Lara's travel records remain missing, and a state audit is on the line. 7 on your side, Stephanie Sierra is here with an update on the work that's being done to get answers. Stephanie.
Yes, Alma and Dan, for more than 4 months now, we've been requesting records on the commissioner's travel expenses, specifically the business purpose for the most expensive taxpayer-funded trips. And week after week, we've failed to get any direct response. So now we're wondering, why is it so hard to get this list? As you know, Michael, we for months now, we've been trying to get answers as to the business purpose for the commissioner's international taxpayer-funded travel. And we have yet to get a direct answer from your office with our specific questions. Why is that?
Well, Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara is a national leader. He's a global leader.
This is California Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara.
No, he's not. He's not a national leader. He's not a global leader. He's the frickin' insurance commissioner of California. Now, this is the reason why you need an elected insurance commissioner. He's going to bring down interest rates or you're not going to get gouged. We've been getting hosed 9 million times, especially under this guy, because we've had an insurance commissioner. You cannot put government in charge of this stuff. They will foul it up. Royism 101, no matter how well-intentioned government programs are, 98.7% of them wind up in graft, corruption, and failure. Ricardo Lara is not an international, not a global, nobody outside and hardly anybody in California could even tell you who the hell the guy was. Even after the disaster, even after Cal Fart Lara from his legislature's days, to the insurance crisis all across the state of California today, nobody, hardly nobody knows who this clown is. They should.
Deputy Commissioner of Communications, Michael Soller, a staffer we've been emailing over the past year while struggling to get answers about the state's insurance crisis, including most recently why the commissioner was absent for nearly all the Senate insurance hearings since assuming office while traveling abroad or cross-country. Or why the business purpose for nearly a dozen all-inclusive taxpayer-funded trips to places like Paris, Bogota, and reportedly Chile has yet to be made public. This was last month.
So I'll provide you a complete list. Every single trip has a business purpose, and it's led to really having a full picture of what's happening.
These are
Michael Soller. What a lying sack of trash. They've been trying, ABC7 has been trying, that young lady's been trying for months. Public records requests, hey, just give us the numbers. They've been blocking, obfuscating, not giving them, these transparency laws and all that, California, Public Records Request Act and all that stuff. It's a bunch of hooey. They know Laura's been partying in our time, getting drunk, 5-star hotels, first-class tickets to Rio de Janeiro or wherever the hell he's been. Just give her the info. Don't say, well, we can't. No. The law says she or any of us are entitled to the frickin' information in 10 frickin' days. Produce it. Or get the hell out of the job. We'll get somebody else that can go get file 13 and compile the documents and say, here it is, an email or whatever, here it is.
documents that are held within the department that should be easily accessible.
I appreciate that, and we do take the process of transparency and public records really seriously. We want to make sure that we're answering your question. If we're not, I'll certainly follow up on that.
She's been asking for frickin' months. You give me this, and we wouldn't give it transparency. No. Anybody in the office, from the lowest level staffer to him, could have probably compiled this in less than a couple hours. It's all on tape. All you got to do is say Ricardo Lara expenses, boom, hit the button, and it goes. Okay, here you go.
Reached out not once, not twice, but 3 times since Soller said that. 2 weeks went by, no response. Earlier in the interview, I asked,
3 months ago, we made this initial request, and we never got that direct answer.
Okay.
Is there a reason for that?
Well, I know you've been making public records requests, and we've been working really expeditiously to respond to those requests.
No, you haven't. 3 months ago. 2 weeks ago. Well, hey, where are my records? Where am I? You said transparency. Where are the records? Oh, we're working diligently. Well, yeah, what are you going to do? Wait till Cowfart Laura is out of office and, well, here's your records. Jeez.
You know, I hope you feel that we are responding with records.
To be frank with you, I haven't felt that way. Here's why. Let's go back to January 13th of this year. That's when our first records request was sent to the California Department of Insurance. In the weeks that followed, we checked back again and again and again, each time with specific questions about a series of international trips. It was more than a month later when Michael Soller first responded. And instead of answering what the business purpose was for those trips or if any regulatory action came as a result, our team got an email of what appeared to be a copy and paste of the commissioner's bio. So we followed up again twice, in part because the commissioner's former staffer, a manager who processed these records at CDI and CalHR, told us they should be easily accessible.
The department's having stuff in the cloud. So a lot of this information is really literally at the touch of somebody's fingertip.
There you go. Rabe Asbel, former California travel manager. They used to book all these stuff. Yeah, you just put the name in, Ricardo Lara, how many hotels, what expenses, prints it out. Okay. Scan it. Send it over to the young lady who's been asking for this for 4 months. Done. That should have been done. The California Public Records Request Act says you are entitled to them in 10 days or a response. A legitimate response, not the bio. She didn't ask for the bio of Cowfart Lara. She already knows it. She asked for the Pacific records. Now, why aren't they being produced? You were supposed to give them, well, okay, we don't have them all, or here's partial of what we got. We're still looking, I've done these myself, gazillion times. Ray Asbel is exactly right. Most of them should have been done within the 10-day request when they were made. 3 or 4 months ago. And if there's any additional stuff, okay, we did find this. This came popping through. Here you go.
But the next day, we were told we have conducted an exhaustive search and found no records of attendance at these events. Yet, we found the commissioner was pictured at nearly all of them online, on the front of press releases, and all over social media. In some cases, even his own public schedule at the time noted he was there. To give some...
This is not going to stop until at a minimum, people are fired or go to jail. Well, we looked and there's no records. All you got to do is go ding, ding, ding on the net, put it in start page or go.go or whatever. And in seconds, you got a whole record of where Lara was at. And you guys, state of California has no idea. We were paying the bill for all this stuff. You don't have any accounting of the receipts or the purchase orders or the checks or however they were cut. They paid the bills. The astounding amount of corruption, outright lying, deception. This is theft. They are stealing our money. Legally. Well, that's questionable too. But in some cases,
30 seconds, 30
the
seconds.
taxation is legally. How they're and what they've been spending on may not be. And that's what we got to get down to on that. Jesse said we'll be joining the Mighty Met KMET here in a few seconds. We'll pick up on, well, maybe this or the Moreno Valley councilman that admits he had met with a felon to get a plum job.
5 seconds. Here we go.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio stations
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire in the aforementioned AM band. Join your vast video audience in the Evil Hippie Network, Rumble, X, YouTube, all that good stuff. Gas prices will be at $9 a gallon by the end of next year, probably over $6.50 by the end of this year. And again, I don't advocate violence, but if there was ever a reason to George Floyd riot in the streets, this should be it. Gas prices are going to double, almost. They're, what, $4.80? It's simple supply and demand. And the only clip I could find on the Mockingbird media was a less than a minute clip on our local ABC7 report. Newport Beach Police released the body cam footage of that motorcyclist that got shot, who was the brother of some sort of goofy TV star, which was irrelevant. But as the body cam footage shows, if you don't comply with the officer's commands and you try to take their weapons away from them, you most likely will be shot and will be dead like that gentleman. Like they say, F-A-F-O. Well, that guy found out the ultimate find out. The final find out. Let's put it that way. We'll see how the rest of the investigation goes, but I don't see that the officer did anything other than the correct action in that. We shall see. Like I said, Cow Fart Laura, who's now our insurance commissioner, the ABC7 San Francisco reporter's been dogging them all, wanting all the records of the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, how much he's been partying on our dime, whatever, resort vacations in Rio de Janeiro, first-class tickets, everything else. And then the bureaucrats, the public employees, are sitting there, oh, well, we didn't know. We have no records of where he was at, or this, we have video evidence of him there. Well, who paid for these trips? We have evidence that he turned in expenses for $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000. The dude, the insurance commissioner in Chicago last year turned in an expense account for $643. In corrupt frickin' Chicago, Crook County. Lord. It drives me absolutely insane. I don't know what the hell it's going to take to wake people up or make them or have them pay attention. But I can almost guarantee you this. If you wind up seeing this, and that's what's predicted. By the end of the year, $6.50 a gallon, as the reporter said, almost $9. We're under 5 right now. And they will sit there and lie through their frickin' teeth about this, about why the cost of gas in California is so high, why if you can get homeowners insurance or auto insurance, it's 2, 3, 5, 10, 100 times higher than it was 3 years ago. It's absolutely, I don't know, amazing. I would have never predicted Well, maybe I wouldn't have hoped. The United States of America would get down to this freaking point. But here we are. And I'm not necessarily happy about it. I hope most of you will get motivated enough to start doing something about it, because the great Donald J. Trump signed a treaty agreement with the United Kingdom, Britain. Everybody said, oh, that's impossible. I never agree. There's old Starnes, or whatever the hell his name is, signing the agreement with Trump. 4 weeks into negotiations, done deal. White smoke came out of Pope Land, or wherever it is in the Vatican. A USA born, he's a Peru citizen now. Wonder how many people give up their U.S. citizenship to become a citizen of Peru. What was fascinating, we had it earlier on the intro, a grade school classmate of his predicted that he would become Pope, and he did. That's got to be lottery, beyond lottery odds, but it happened. So, again, I don't follow that stuff that much, or hardly at all, but hey, I know a lot of people are on to the Pope and all that kind of stuff, so you don't have to worry anymore. There's a new guy sitting in the seat. Wonder when we're going to get a woman Pope. So, that ought to light a lot of people's candle on fire when that. I hope I'm around to see that one. That would be intriguing as hell, at least from my perspective. We did yesterday, the Moreno Valley City Council and the mayor. I wish I had somebody in a graphics department to put him in a diaper with a pacifier. I think Louise Palomares will probably have that as a prop on the next council meeting, for sure. But we went through the whole meltdown the mayor had, making the city look absolutely ridiculous, calling out, castigating, especially disrespecting Shaylinda Bernard, council member District 4, and Ed Delgado especially, who are calling him an Erlin out. On their political prosecution, we're going to run Moreno Valley. You're either going to kiss our ring, or you're going to get screwed, whether you're sitting on the dais of the council, whether you're the staff and the city manager and the staff, or you're living here, or you're trying to bring a business in here, you're employed here. If you don't kiss our rear end, you're out. And it's absolutely, I don't know. I never thought we would get to the day, but we are, of where we would get this kind of reputation, but we do. Like I said, I've been around for every mayor, every councilman in our 40-year history plus, from Snide to Louis Whiplash to Mayor Baby Jesus. I've never seen a more embarrassing, a more totalitarian dictator, a more disrespectful person or leader or mayor or council person than I did Tuesday night with Cabrera, but we did that. So let's roll back to 2010. Marcelo Coe was elected to the city council in a very contentious deal. Bonnie Flickinger, one part of the Flick and the Dick team of two mayors, Richard Stewart, Bonnie Flickinger, who were longtime councilors. I think the first and second longest standing serving members we've had. Used to call them the Flick and the Dick. I think Pop came up with that one. And Marcelo Coe ran against her. The day before she went out, she passed a project, Palm Desert Development, down the street from here on Paris Boulevard. She'd taken a $40,000 contribution. Co beat her. Day before she's going out of office, she holds a hearing to get the thing, and they pass it like 3-2. So Co gets the seat. I think it was, then like 2012 or 2013, WLC, FBI investigations, all the crap that was going on. And Marcelo Co first gets arrested for Social Security fraud or alleged. His mom died, he was still collecting the checks. I think that was in August of 2013. Or maybe it was 14, one of the two. I think it was 14. Then 3 or 4 months later, out comes the big FBI sting operation with Marcelo Co sitting with $2.36 million in cash in front of him, I believe, down in Temecula. They set up a sting operation with Marcelo Co they were going to give him $2.36 million. He was going to rezone, change the zone of properties, or get it through the council for these guys, and they were all going to make millions, or they were going to make billions. It was an FBI sting operation. Co got caught, served some time in the pen over it, pled guilty right away. So this is about the time I remember Erlen Gonzalez coming on the scene and coming to the council meetings and stuff. So last night, and this is the first clip coming up. So after the absolute S show that Erlen put on with and went along with Ulysses Cabrera, trying to get 3 fine members thrown off, the planning commissioner, Joanne Steffen, Alvin DeJeanette, and Ray Baker, and put them on with their own cronies. One, an employee, as I understand it, Gabby Menendez, who's the alternate planning commissioner right now, employee of Corey Jackson's, who was the biggest contributor, I believe, get the 460s, as I recall, biggest political contributor to Erlen Gonzalez and Ulysses Cabrera in their campaigns for mayor and city council. The one they left on was Omar Cobain, Carpenters Union representative, who I believe both put either and or substantial amounts of money in both Ulysses Cabrera's and Erlen Gonzalez's campaign. Again, haven't had time to roll through all the 460s and see that. But that's all public record. So mind you, Marcelo Co was a councilman. He wasn't convicted at the time. But the odd way he put this, Erlen Gonzalez, after that, trying to explain why his picks, his nomination was Gabby Menendez and Omar Cobain, one employee of Corey Jackson, biggest political contributor to his campaign, and Omar Cobain, I believe, maybe not. I know Cabrera, the Carpenters Union, which he's a representative of, put substantial money in both their campaigns. So as we ran on the opening clip, here we go to set it up of what was said.
To navigate through that as best we can, as respectfully as we can. And I want to say that so people know that this is not a, what people think and people make up stories in their heads of how things happen, but they don't happen the way people think they happen.
People make up stories in their head of what happened, but that isn't what happened. Well, then why don't you tell us what happened? Why don't you, as I have offered you and baby Jesus and every other public official, you come in here and sit in the seat and we'll have a discussion. We can have a discussion of that. Then we won't have to make up things in our head. We can get your answer. Instead of walking away from me like you did after the council meeting when I said, hey, come on in and discuss it. You took the money, bud. You know the golden rule. He who makes the gold makes the rules. More from Erlen Gonzalez, City Council Member, District 3, City of Moreno Valley, at the Moval Meltdown Tuesday night.
But people want to think that way, right? So just wanted to make that clarification. I want to thank staff for what they've done with getting back to Miss Jessica Gibbons, Bike Moval. I want to read a comment that she put on Instagram. Very nice thing to staff. She said, I've had very productive calls yesterday and today. The city has heard us and is looking to possible solutions. Thank you, the City of Moreno Valley.
So now he's going on. I wanted to get the end of it because he said this whole little rendition about how I was this and people make up things. And again, I want to say to you, Erlen, if you don't want that to happen, then come on in and answer the questions. And why is it that you picked that and your two picks? Two got on as the mayor's recommendations. Ed Delgado's didn't get on any of them, the way he put it in. Or at least with Joanne Steffen and Adam Hall. It's not the way Ed put it. Had no discussion. How did Erlen's get exactly on as he wanted it while the rest of them got the off-on-goo? So let's get back to what we ran on the intro clip. Here we go.
I'm going to go back to K1. I'm going to tell a story of...
K1 was the fiasco meltdown about the planning commissioners, and Ulysses Cabrera, I believe, was Erlen Gonzalez and Corey Jackson conspired to put their people on that will rubber stamp, just like Erlen rubber stamps every vote of Ulysses Cabrera, he stamps. Maybe one. I want to see the one where they differentiate. It could be an inconsequential one. In one of the most blatant political dictatorship, political retaliation moves, not only in the history of Moreno Valley, the history of politics, and we got the record. Our councilman, Marcelo Coe, which you're going to hear in a second, took the biggest bribe to benefit himself and hose the people of Moreno Valley, $2.36 million. Biggest bribe ever accepted by a political official right here in Moreno Valley, Marcelo Coe. And guess what Erlen mentions?
Because I know I'm the only one on the dais who was on the planning commission. So when I first applied to the planning commission, this is a decade ago or more, applied. And I will never forget, one of the first things I went to meet council member Marcelo Coe, if you guys remember that. I went to meet with him in his garage, and he interviewed me. He interviewed me for the planning commission. So.
Okay. This is what we make up in our head, Erlen. So now we know, mind you, of course, Coe's not a convicted felon at this point. Or most of us don't know what time. Obviously this is between the 2010 or 2011, 2014 timeframe in that 3-year period. You didn't exactly say when. Why are you meeting in Coe's garage? I can almost if it's where I'm thinking of and where his garage mostly was, I can almost hit it. I can almost throw a rock and hit his Marcellus Co's garage. He still owns that piece of property. But this is a speculation. Let's see, this is what we make up in our head. What, Erlen, you didn't have, what, did Co want 25 grand for the planning commission seat and you only had 10? Yeah, we remember Marcelo Co. Yeah, we know the history. Why were you over there meeting in his garage? Doesn't that sound strange? Not, we had coffee at the coffee shop or that. Were you? I mean, I knew Co. I never really seen you around. I never saw that you were a big buddy or that, or where it would make any sense. Why did you go over and meet with a guy with someone like that in their garage? So again, come in here and answer the questions of the whole thing. Let's get on what he said, the rest of it. Pertinent. Here we go.
I wasn't selected back then. It took me a while. And there was different rules of the...
I wasn't selected back then. Again, why? What, you didn't have enough money to buy your seat? And that's just speculation. That's just what we make up in our head. Because we have politicians like this. And bureaucrats like Solar and Calfart Lara that want to cover up, obfuscate, not tell the truth, not be transparent. Erlen, you should have demanded that, and you could have done this under the procedure. They should have had under the procedure and the rules of the Moreno Valley City Council as today and the laws of California. You could have called for a study session. You could have aired this out in public, gave your reasons why you're putting them. Everybody could have gave their reasons on, but you guys are so freaking stupid, corrupt, or whatever, and this is what we're making up in our head, Erlen, that you can't do that. You want to do it behind closed doors, secrecy, and come up and tell us exactly why, because I think in about 10 minutes, we're going to see the reason why you and Ulysses Cabrera and Corey Jackson were trying to hijack the Planning Commission. Here's more.
The game back then. I was finally selected for the Planning Commission back in 2015. I was very excited. And I served as an alternate planning commissioner for 2 years. I did everything right. I did all the academies. At that time, there was...
How do you know you did everything right? And you went to all the academies, you got your brain sucked out so you could be a yes man, like Dad said. He went to them same academies back in 87 and 88. And that's what he said. They suck your brains out, put in yes, yes, higher taxes, screw the people. That's it. That's what you learn up there, Erlen, and you frickin' know it. So don't give us this crap. Or I did everything right. That's what Mendez or whatever you nominated did the same thing. Oh, I went to the academies and that. Okay, you already on my list, you already went down. You couldn't dig to China to get me to put somebody on the Planning Commission or anything. I couldn't get you to get the Sewer Cleaning Commission. Whereas independent people that actually got some brains that will actually work for the people and bring things in here that will make this city successful for everybody. You can't say that because you don't have the intellectual capability to do it. That's what we make up in our head, Erlen.
No quorum. Not all. There was always vacancies because that council slate.
Yeah, because Cabrera and Marquez wouldn't reappoint a few years ago Ray Baker and Joanne Steffen because of political persecution payoff. We didn't like them, and we had quorums and that. I believe while you were on the Planning Commission. Because they could block it. And they had to put them on 6 months later so we could actually have Planning Commission meetings and pass a general plan that the Tutti Fruttis, a lot of that you support, have got blocked and killing the city. Oh, but I did everything right.
At that time, didn't fill those vacancies for whatever reason.
No, we know the reason.
Again, that's
Shut
just the way
up. We know the reason. It's your buddy up there, baby Jesus, your little master, your puppet master. We know the reason, Erlen. Quit BSing. You know the reason. You lived it just like I did. You were there just like I was.
Right back then. And when I wanted to become a permanent planning commissioner, I wasn't selected. I was disappointed. But because of that,
and I even said it publicly. That was BS what they did to you and Lori Nickel. But your buddy sitting right next to you in the picture, baby Jesus, did the exact same thing. Gave the exact same treatment you got. To Nikki Taylor. Was an alternate bypastor for who? Menendez. And very good souls like me went up there and said, hey, move Mickey Taylor up. I'll put Menendez on as alternate. We'll see how it goes. Oh, no, you're going to shove her right and shove the other people out and all this stuff. Shaylinda Bernard and Ed Delgado were absolutely right in calling you baby Jesus out, and you and by abstention because you're kissing his little rear end and Corey Jackson's every day of the week and 9 times on Sunday, Erlen. Come in here and deny it. Prove me wrong. Tell me I'm just making this stuff up in my head. I'm giving you every opportunity. You bring baby Jesus, bring you both. We'll sit here till the frickin' cows come home, live and in living color. We'll go longer than the Lincoln-Douglas debates. Because you know what you're doing. You're doing just exactly the BS we saw with Gavin Newsom and the gas prices and solar and Cal Fart Laura and the tradition of Marcelo Coe and everything else that's went on in this city. You're backing it up. And when you saw somebody that was getting the same treatment you were, you didn't do a damn thing. And just like this, you didn't use the tools you had to prevent what happened Tuesday night. You just sat there like, You know whose recommendation you took from that meeting last night was mine. I went up there and said it, hey, postpone the planning commission and appoint the others, and that's what all you did fought. So cut my credibility. That'll do it for today. As we usually say at this time. Mandatory, you're back here in 23 hours. Why? The best darn show in the whole wide world. Until then, see ya.
All right. Have a great night.
You got it.